Welcome back for another video. This video will be on 3D Mill Lesson 12 Exercise B. For this, we'll be sweeping this here profile, and we're sweeping that on this here kind of like arc that you see. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by creating this path or sweep path. So let's go ahead and do that. Start out by clicking wireframe, and I'm going to get my circle out. And my first circle is going to be at 0.4, comma 1.5. And it's going to be a 3/4, 0.75 circle. Enter. Okay, and then our second one is going to be at 5.6, comma 1.5, and hit enter for that as well. All right, so next then we're going to connect this using an arc tangent. So I'm going to do arc tangent to two entities, and I'm going to make my radius 2.25 as the print says. And I'm just going to select those two entities and select the arc that I want. Hit check, and there we go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a line here. And it looks like my endpoint is going to be 0.125, comma 0.75. Okay. And this one here, same thing. I'm just going to make this one, looks like this one is 5.875, comma 0.75. Enter. All right. Then we're going to go back and we're going to trim these here. So, whoops. Didn't want to do that. Okay. And there we go. So there's our path. That was pretty quick and easy to create. Next, we got to create our profile that we're going to sweep. So to do that, I am going to go to my right side view. I'm going to go to my planes, and I can see everything's on there that I want. So I'll set up the way that I want it to be. All right. So I'm going to start by drawing these two circles right here at these center points. So I'm going to draw these two circles. All right, so let's draw them 0.2. Make sure I got the right size. And then that first circle, it looks like it's going to be, let's take a look here, drag this over. So it's 0.75 is where they're centered, and then it looks like there's 0.2 between them. So 0.75 minus 0.1 and plus 0.1 are going to be our two centers in the X. And then it looks like in the Y, it's going to be negative 625 minus 0.2, so 425. All right, so let's go ahead and put in our 0.65, comma, negative 0.425, and 0.65, oops, check that, 0.785, comma, negative 0.425, enter. All right, check. And then I'll create this line. I'm just going to create straight across and trim it. Okay, and then we're going to create our angled lines, which are 60 degrees, 60.0. Create that one, check. And then we have a 120. Check. Okay, and then our last lines, which are going to be at 0.75 minus half of 875. So that's going to be at 0.75 minus 0.4375, comma, 0. And it's going to draw it straight down to intersects. And then 0.875, comma, or check that, plus 0.4375, comma 0. Oop, I messed up somewhere. 0.875 plus 0.375, comma 0. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm putting 875 in. Duh. 0.75 plus 0.4375, comma 0. That's better. So trim all that stuff. Get rid of that. And we got to put our radii on, 0.2. There. Check. Okay, now the only thing I need to do is translate this and just bring it forward that 1/8 inch. Let me grab it here. There we go, got everything, so let's transform that. Translate Z 0.125, and let's move that, check. Okay. I could have drawn it there. I just forgot to change this, so no big deal. All right. Okay, so now I have my path and I have my profile, so I am ready to go ahead and sweep that. So I'm going to select this, enter, and I'm going to select my path, enter, and there we go. So I have my profile, or my surface, I should say. So next, the one thing I do want to do before I do this, I'm going to create levels and create a surface level. And we're going to select this, and we're going to add that to a different level. Check. Okay, planes, whoops, levels. All right. Next, I'm just going to create lines on this edge so that I can create a flat boundary. So I'm just going to go to curve on edge, click there, and it's going to give me my line there. Okay, and then I'll go into my surfaces. I'm going to create that flat boundary like we did last time. Check. It's going to ask if I want to close it. Absolutely. And create it down here. Close it. Yes. Check. All right. All right, so now that I have all that, I'm going to turn off my geometry. It looks like I did accidentally create this curve and put it on the wrong one. Select, check, check. All right, now we get rid of that. All right, fill with the surfaces. I'm going to select this surface, enter, then this surface, enter. I already have my radius in, that's good. Hit check. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here. And there we go. So I have my surface created. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create my block here. I'm just going to do that with my stock. I'm actually going to draw a block. So I go to machine, pick my machine first. Toolpaths, stock setup, and it looks like we need 2.875 by 6.0 by 0.75, and we're going to do that from there. Oh, wrong corner. Check. There we go. Okay, so we're all set. We can go ahead and start doing our toolpaths. So let's go ahead and do a pocket, and I'm going to pick all surfaces and selection. Check. All right. And I've already had my tools loaded in just because I kind of ran through this already. So I'm going to select the 3/8 bull mill. I'm going to run that about 100 inches a minute and 12,000 RPM. And let's plunge it at about 30 inches a minute. Surfaces, everything here is fine. I'm not going to leave anything on the drive surface. Actually, check that. I'm going to leave 10 thou on the drive surfaces. Here, everything's good. Pocket parameters, I'm going to do constant overlapping. I'm going to turn this to 45. I'm also going to turn off my finish pass. I don't need to finish anything here because it's just a rough. So I'm okay with that. It's going to warn me about that. May engage large amount of material in the lower pockets if you don't have finish on. That's fine. So there we go. There's our finish. Sorry, there's our rough. So there we go. That's good. Next, I'm going to do a water line. So I'm going to pick a water line if I can find it there. And we're going to make these 0 now. So now we're going to start to finish this thing. And I'm going to pick all my surfaces again and selection. Toolpath control, I'm going to want to include a silhouette boundary. Otherwise, it's going to try and finish the outside of this surface as well. So that looks good. Tooltip center, everything there looks good. Tool I'm going to use is a 3/8 ball mill. I'm going to run that at 100 inches a minute and about 12,000 RPM. And we're going to plunge that at about 30 inches a minute. Cut parameters, we're going to step down this 0.01. So we're going to get 10,000 step over, or step down. Everything here is good. I'm not going to mess with my steep shallow. I'm just going to utilize this whole thing. I'm not going to use that for this. And I'm doing that to kind of demonstrate that you don't necessarily need to do that. It shaves some time off of your part, but it's also more difficult to get it to mesh those surfaces that it machined together. So we're going to leave that as is, and I'm going to leave the arc filter off too. So we'll create that. Let's see what that gives us. I didn't see it actually do anything there. Okay, so it's not creating that. So let's go back and take a look. Let's delete. I should escape. Let's take a look at that. See, my monogeometry is in there. Toolpath control. Let's turn that off a second. Okay, ball and mill. That's good. 10,000. Steep shallow is okay. I wonder if I detect the limits, if that'll do it. I think that's what my problem is. Let's regenerate that. Yeah, see, see how it's outside? That's exactly what I meant by not including the silhouette boundary. So let's go ahead and include that silhouette boundary. But I think that's problematic, because it doesn't seem to want to cut on the inside here. So let's go back and compensate to inside. Let's regen that. There we go. It seems to be doing kind of what we want it to do. So let's take a look and see how that goes. Oops. And select everything there. Okay. And so it roughs most of it out, but it doesn't get the bottom of this surface here. And you can see here the corners. Of course it doesn't get those because the ball mill is too big. So what we'll do is we'll save that for our finish pass with our scallop. There we go. And we'll put 0 on for that, 0 on for that. Select all our surfaces again. Enter. Toolpath control. We're going to include, we're going to trim surfaces. We're going to stay on center for this one. And we're going to pick a 3/16 ball mill. I'm going to mill at maybe 30 inches a minute, 12,000 RPM at, say, 20 inches a minute plunge rate. Stock, we're going to trim to all previous operations. Step over, we're going to go about 0.005. What the heck, we'll do a, you know what, make it 0.001. All right, check that, 0.01 I meant to say. There we go. Detect the limits there. 1.0. And let's see what that gives us. So it should just cut what we need it to cut. So let's see how that looks. Hard to see what all's going on there. So that's looking pretty good. There's our finished part. So you can see there, if I turn this tool off, see there, our corners look good. Everything looks pretty good there. So I am satisfied with that. Again, we could knock some of this time here off if if we wanted to do some steep shallow, maybe do some cutoffs on the angles with the roughing. But for this project, I'm not too concerned about the time. As long as it's not crazy, not taking 3 hours to machine this. 46 minutes isn't too bad. But like I said, we could get that down. If we were running production, I would definitely get that down. If I was just running one, I'd probably just run it like that. I wouldn't spend too much time, trying to program for one part, rather than just run it. So, as usual, if you have any questions, of course, you can see me during my office hours or during class. But that is all for this lesson.